Our next and last adjusting journal entry, number 7, says, remember, Kristen Reyna, the owner of this company, is an interior designer. Part of her job is sketching room designs and plans. Tools needed to do this include graph paper, rulers, compasses, protractors, etc. Kristen buys these and records them in the account called design supplies. So notice on our balance sheet, our design supplies is $200. At the end of the month, Kristen Reyna counts the amount of design supplies on hand. The amount of design supplies on hand is $80.50. So if we really only have $80.50 on hand, but our balance sheet shows that we have $200, that means this $200 is no longer accurate. We have to update it. Record the adjusting entry to update the account balance. Make sure to explain your calculation in the memo field. I want to show you 2 other locations you can easily find the balance of design supplies. On the trial balance, we've got design supplies right here of $200, but you might mess up this date on the trial balance. So I like to always check the chart of accounts just to make sure. So we go to the chart of accounts, design supplies is $200 balance. And because I'm curious when we bought them, I'm just going to double click this. And notice we bought them on the 24th, and it is now the 28th, the end of the month. So we've obviously used up a lot of those office or design supplies. So I'm going to close this window. So we have to calculate how many office supplies how many design supplies did we use up? So notice we had a balance of 200, but when this owner went and counted, she only found $80.50 were left. So we have to figure out the difference. $200 subtract 80.5 gives us, so we've used up $119.50. So we need to open up our Make General Journal Entries window. And it's AJE7. Notice we're on the right date. And we just calculated that the difference was 119.5. So now we need to know what is the debit account and what is the credit account. Well, let's go back to the chart of accounts. Excuse me, let's go back to the trial balance. Notice the design supplies, remember it's an asset, therefore has a debit balance. We need to lower this asset. So how do I lower this debit balance asset? You lower it with a credit. So I'm going to go back to Make General Journal Entries window, and the account being credited is the design supplies. And the other account is an expense. So we should have design supplies expense. And notice we don't have design supplies expense on our chart of accounts. That's because this is the very first time it's ever been adjusted. So we have to add it. We have to do a one-time. So this is a one-time deal where we have to add it. And notice the instructions do tell you to add it. So the way to add the account is you're going to click on Add New. Or you could just go to your chart of accounts. It's an expense. Click Continue. The account number is 6330. Design Supplies Expense. Click Save and Close. And notice we are debiting an expense because the expense is increasing, and we're lowering our design supplies account. Why? Because we've used up $119.50. And again, how do we calculate that? Well, we need to add that into our explanation. $200 QB stands for QuickBooks balance. So in other words, we had $200 according to QuickBooks, but we have to subtract the amount on hand, 80.50, and that gives us 119.50 of design supplies used. So it's required that you have a memo explaining how you calculated the $119.50. I'm going to click Save and New. And now we should go double check our trial balance. Remember, in the trial balance, this is the trial balance before adjustments over here on the left. And our design supplies were $200, but now I'm going to click refresh, and our design supplies are now $80.50, which is correct. We can also check a couple other places. Our balance sheet. Oh, let me go back to the trial balance. So we have lowered the design supplies to $80.50, and we also should have a design supplies expense now of $119.5. So then we go to our balance sheet, and we find our design supplies right here. Now shows $80.50. And then the last place you could double check just to show you what's going on, our chart of accounts shows that our design supplies is now at $80.50.